Hello. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. So we are just checking with the backstage if it's online, if it's working.
Do you see it? Let me check.
Our team is helping
yes,
us.
it's
We got the green light.
yes.
So if you are there, you can just write your name and the location.
First of all, welcome them.
Yes,
Hello.
of course.
We are so happy you are here watching us.
And we'll wait, a few minutes to see if 1 minute to make sure you have.
59,
Yeah,
58.
we'll make a countdown. We are very excited because it's the first live that we made together, and it's about relationship. So we are very happy to be with you tonight. We'll hope that we'll provide you a lot of ideas and thoughts for progress in your relationship. And I let Katalin start with a story.
Yeah, so in the past, I'm sure many of you can relate with the first big love, when you felt in love at the first time and say it's like, okay, this is being together forever, and I want to give you everything, all of my side, and planning the whole life within a really short time. So that's happened in my life. I was really, really deeply in love with a guy, and we had a couple of conversations, like how we see the future, what can we imagine as a relationship, what kind of rules can we play. And at that time, that my partner said is basically, I'm very easygoing. I have only one rule for you, and if you agree, I'm happy with it. He said, anytime in the future, if you feel you want to have a sex with someone else, you have to tell it before. So just announce it. Okay, I desire somebody, and now I'm going away and I'm having a sex with someone else, not after. So this was the really, really big stress point. When it happened, I said yes, but not because I had the same desire. I just said yes because it was a pressure. If I say no, that means our relationship is over, and I was really, really in love. So I said yes. On one way, I thought it's a good one because in that case, just in case of emergency, if I feel desires, if I feel connection with someone else, yes, that's so good. I have this option. But I was really like it was clashing with my values. At that time I was really into the monogamy. And we agreed in this, and few months has passed and I became pregnant. So why we are here?
To talk about the breaking rules in the relation, and so talk about boundaries and limits. And indeed, that's a subject which is often a topic in the relation, especially because well, thanks to the relation, we discover and we have to face situations that we don't really control. And so we need to be very clear with ourselves and with others.
So the rules is for controlling? Do you think so?
Now we'll discuss that a bit later. And I will explain first why we create that talk. Is that in most sexology consultation, what we observe is that couples struggles with communication, difficulties of communication or lack of communication, or with experiences. So they have an experience and they don't know how to really to handle it because one of the partner has been triggered and they don't know how to handle it. So indeed, this talk is also about sexology.
Because you are a sexologist.
Yes. and a coach and relation therapist, couple therapist. And also, we want to share the discussion we have together because Katalin and myself, we are both coach, and we are starting a relation for 7 months now, and we have a lot of discussion, in fact, about our life, our limits, and so on. And we propose that relationship talk every Monday to share with you some knowledge, some experience, some thought to nourish each relation with some more consciousness and awareness to progress, growth, and have more pleasure in the relation.
How you can take out the most of this talk is basically take some notes. Also, if you hear some good tips or very interesting question, add your questions in the comment for us to let us know what is your interest, how this topic resonates with you, what is your own experience about it. And also, we will share some tips how you can talk about some certain topics which may too hot or hard to start it and implement it. It's really, really important. Choose one action out of this talk and implement it in your life. No matter you are a single person at the moment or you are in a relationship, definitely there is an option, there is a way to implement just one tip that will lead to a change in your life, and you can test with your own experience how it turns out to you.
And so I will start to talk about the rules. So why we are creating rules, in fact. The rules exist so that we can collaborate, we speak the same language, we have coherences, and we can just enjoy a moment together and think less and put our brain and our body in a state of confidence to just behave all together in a society. That's typically the case when you drive in the road with your car. There are codes, there are rules, and so you know that when the light is red, you have to stop. When it's green, you have to start. And so you don't have to guess about the language. It's just something that becomes common for everyone. And
So
the
you
rules,
mean if I want to be involved, I have to know the rules, even on the road or anywhere.
Yeah, and that's nice also for the relation. If you want to be involved or go in a relation with someone, it's nice to start to know what are the rules. Because typically you start with a relation blind and you discover question by questions. Who is the universe of the partner? Who is it? What is the value of that person? And so you need to ask questions. And that's the purpose here. We are asking questions. What are your breaking rules? So the breaking rules is what are the criteria that you refuse, that is not acceptable. And if you overcome that or you go beyond that, you will break the relation and it's over. I will not accept it at all. And so you need to know
in good
yourself.
case scenario.
In good case scenario, if you know it.
Because there are other aspects of the boundaries. Unfortunately, there are two ways. It's one of the ways like what my boundaries, which I express to you, and what's your boundaries, which you express to me. So, and sometimes there is a stress point, and I believe that's the source of the conflict in a couple or between a relationship.
Yeah, to be curious enough to discover the boundaries of your partner and to question yourself about your own boundaries. Do you know your own boundaries? That's a really challenging question. When I ask that, usually people are just, there is a blank, a silence, and then you know that people don't have the direct answer, so they have to really think about their own preference. And even the partner is looking at curiously to learn. So it's really an essential question.
It's not always curiously, especially when you have pain, no?
Yeah, but from the rules, I would like to jump to the game, because typically the rules exist in any games like football, volley, or any kind of collective games. We need the rules. So the rules is not a problem, it's not a limit, it's not a control. It's just a manner to behave and to play together. And it's essential. If you don't give the rules to your partner, he cannot play with you. And so
Maybe
They're
I
just
can imagine differently. The boundaries is the container
Mm.
where you have all of
So
the things inside. And if the boundaries are really, really strong, they are
mhm,
holding this container and whatever is in there. It's an energy,
mm,
relationship, or collective
mm,
consciousness, or
mm,
whatsoever. The boundaries from my
yeah,
end. That's why it's so important.
mm. And it allows to play. In fact, if you put the boundaries and that clarity between you and your partner, you can start to play. And be careful the way you define your boundaries, because if the boundaries became a control over others, so you try to have a power or I would say control the energy of the partner, then it's not funny at all. No one want to play with that. And some people say, yeah, I'm struggling in my relation. It's not funny. I don't enjoy it. But in fact, the boundaries are not boundaries that you prohibit the other to do something. While if we
Okay.
take point an example,
Yeah.
like in football, you have a line. If the ball go outside, we stop and we start again. You lose the end. But that's not good. It's not bad. You need a limit. Is the field is 50 meters wide or 1 kilometer wide? Whatever you decide is great, but you create the frame and the context inside which you can play. So you see that boundaries is not a constraint or a power over ourselves. It's just about being fair where I feel comfortable and where I want to play with someone. Um, then the
What
limits talk about the rules talk about the limits. And what is fun is that the limits is also related to the violence. And that's pretty curious, but it is. You can do violence to yourself when you go beyond your limits. Let's say you make a marathon. I usually use sport example, but it's very easy to understand. If you go beyond your body limits, you start to have pain, you know. And so, and when you have a certain sensibility, if someone go over your limits of sensibility, you start to feel a kind of violence. It's violent to you to receive some words, to receive maybe some physical behaviors or whatever. So the violence comes from going beyond a certain limit.
When was the last time when you experienced it?
To go beyond the limits?
Yes. When you have you ever um consciously go beyond the limits? And also, what was your experience when you received it? So, what was your reaction? So, I'm talking about the two ways. Yeah. When you have you ever consciously go beyond?
A limit with a partner?
Mhm.
So one of my limits is enjoying the life. If it's not for me, it's become a bit violent for me because it's really a pity to, and I don't want to live that. It's just my, it's not I would say acceptable for me to have a joyful life. I want to enjoy life, and when someone is always, blaming or not happy or being victim, whatever, for me it's really violent because the
So,
life is precious
you are
and
saying
it's
it.
hitting some limits for me.
You are saying it that the boundaries could be like two ways. One of them is when I'm pain driven. I want to avoid some pain, like from the past experience or like imagined pain,
Mhm.
which I can experience if I don't create the boundaries and don't create the rules. Also, is the other way. I set up some boundaries to not experience any future potential or probabilities. Or how would you explain? Because on one way it no make sense what you said because you are talking about limit and you have to at the same time your boundaries is like the joy.
Yeah, it's so the boundaries talk about what it's acceptable for you, what is your value, and what you want to live in the life. It's not good or bad. It's not a judgment. It's just a value, and a value could be anything. So indeed, in this case, it's about enjoying life. And when sometimes with some people, okay, I really struggle with it.
So
But
shall we create the do we create boundaries for a certain outcome?
it's just to, for myself, it's to be honest with me and the other, because if the discussion or the relation become boring, or I disconnect or whatever, the people will feel it one way or another. So I'm honest with them. I say, okay, for me there, or you go beyond some of my limits, and I will, maybe it will hurt you, but I don't want. I do you just be honest and say, yeah, for me, I would prefer that we would we see the situation a different way. Do you accept to see it a different way? Can we talk a different manner about that situation? Because it's way more joyful. You can continue, but it's not my game, and I don't want to play that game. And that's come back to the rules, the boundaries, the limits. It's about a game. Do you play, and are you joyful in life? Is your game enough funny that people want to play with you? Because that's the breaking rules. If you put so much rules that is limiting the others and it's not funny, will other want to play in your relation with you in your life? Think how your rules are funny. And back to the limits, which is linked to the violence and the pain. Indeed, what is very special is that some people say that we can only grow with pain. It's when you feel the pain that you have an discomfort, that you start, uh, that you want to change something. And without the pain, I will not say people are lazy or less conscious or whatever, but without pain, it's logic that we don't really pay attention. The pain, biologically, create a kind of awareness and say, oh, be conscious over here, I have pain, so it bring my attention there, and I have something to do. I don't know what. It's not a judgment. I feel some pain. It's bring my attention somewhere. And some people think that we need pain to grow.
Mm-hmm. Which I have a bit of question mark around it.
Yeah, it's true for some.
Yeah, it's no pain, no gain for your muscles when you go to the gym.
Mm.
Also, there are other aspects. So, what is element in terms of the pain is the meaning. The meaning what you add to the situation, to the experience.
So you mean, yeah, that's a question. So the pain has not to be judged. It's just a signal, and the meaning you associate to it creates your reality. And it would be painful if you say that the signal is.
Even with your words, you can describe, create a bigger intention. When you experience pain, you say it's a pain, you can say, oh, it's such an extreme painful and it's so hard. So when you add intention even with words, it creates a memory around it. It's yes, it's a pain. But what if I say yes, I consciously or deliberately choose to the growth, choose to the change. And every single time when I feel this discomfort, I can celebrate and welcome, saying that is yes, that means I'm on the track finally. I'm going in the direction, and yes, the best example is the public speaking. Some people say is like, if I have to speak in front of other people, I will die. I rather die than do the public speaking. If I choose to deliberately, okay, I want to master this skill. I want to master that presentation skill in front of 10,000 people. Every single time when I have an opportunity, I will welcome it. I say it, yes, finally I got an opportunity to speak. Finally I got an opportunity to present my thought, share my ideas. What do you think?
I love that philosophy, saying that the pain is not good or bad. It's just a signal, and it's a sign of celebration. When you feel it, you say, yes, there is something it's essential for me. I can grow. There is a potential, and there is no judgment behind it for me or for the person, for the signal, the what triggers me, but also for the partners.
And how do you accept this in a relationship? Because the main point in a relationship, in generally speaking, the joy, the love, the celebration, and enjoying together.
Yeah, I think that when you are in love with someone, you are in an open mode. So Instead of closing yourself, which is about the fears, you are open and you want more and you enjoy. And you can become more sensible, you have more trust, you feel more, and you become a bit more vulnerable. But it will make you stronger and stronger, because every time you feel something that triggers you or creates some pain, can you stay present and say, okay, there's something essential, but I will not go away. I will not blame. I will not judge. I will just feel it and think what I want to do. Do I want to feel that pain every time I feel that I face that situation? Do I want to react the same way and just close myself and say it's too painful? I don't want, and I just shout on the person, or put more limits, or blame, or just say, okay, it's triggering me, but what do I want to do with it? Because when you put a rules or a boundary, what goals does it help to achieve? What do you want to create?
I think what works for me in life, how I live my life, and how I want to live my life, and how I choose to live my life with my partner, especially in sexuality. Because the main point in this conversation, why it's related to the boundaries and the sexuality, so many times, when the word comes on saying cheat on you, or somebody is a cheater, it's a big question, like what kind of boundaries they set up in a partnership or a relationship.
Can you repeat, because I'm lost?
So because the Love Health Center,
Mhm.
we would like focusing on the sexuality
Mhm.
and the intimacy, and this is basically our main topic. And I believe it's one of the most important trigger in relationship when you have no clear rules about the sexuality.
Yes, indeed. Many people don't talk about sexuality. And so, indeed, when you start to talk about it, people feel triggers, or there's a lot of judgment. And here it's about the boundaries. Let's say that you change your first boundaries, and every time the partner came with a sexuality topics to discuss, and you feel a bit, I would say, um, confronted by the situation, or shocked, or you feel uncomfort, or pain, or triggered, you say, okay, that just reveal me something. I will stay present, and I say thank you to the partner to bring me a question that really push me a bit out of my comfort zone. I accept to talk about a subject that seems to be difficult to talk about.
So
And
here
so I
comes
would
a
challenge you to every day at least ask one question about sexuality to your partner that could destabilize it, that put that could uh, discuss a topic that is out of the comfort zone of your partner. If you can do that every day, it's become more easy and easy and easy, and start as a game, because the game, as I told you, the boundaries is about playing, it's about the language, and it's about the game. So if you can start just with a joyful approach and say, okay, what if I make love to another partner in your presence? Okay, is it acceptable? Not what's your universe behind it? Is it so impossible to hear, or is it possible to experience? Yes, no, why? Did you think already about it? Do you have the same desire or not? So it can bring a lot of rich discussion around it.
So just let's recap what we were talking about up until now. First of all, it could be a really, really good tip for you. Wherever or are you on the scale in terms of shyness or really open? Day by day, you can ask a question from anyone. If you are on the shy part, like some really close friends about the sexuality, like what are their boundaries, and what they think about, what the meaning of boundaries, what is their breaking rules. So basically, the breaking rules, if just we wanna simplify, if you do some action, I will get out of this relation. And I say it's not acceptable to me. It's like you broke this. So if you are a shy person, choose someone who is in your network or close to you and ask some questions. You have to start somewhere. And after the first or the second conversation, you may feel more confident to talk about the sexuality. Let's say if you are not too shy and you can talk to anyone, you can practice, talk to a stranger on the street and ask. It's like, hey, I just want to do a practice. I heard a really great advice and I want to take it into the reality. What do you think about sexuality and boundaries? Do you have a specific question?
I would like to
as a
discuss.
tip, as a tip, we can give to them.
Yeah,
What
in
kind
the
of
context.
question?
No.
As a, like exactly, what kind of question we can ask, which helps to clarify the boundaries. Regardless, are you a monogam person or are you you want to have an open relationship? What do you think? Which kind of question? Like few questions. Let's throw it on. If you have a question, definitely add into the comment. If you watch this live replay, please use hashtag replay and add your favorite question or what you would like to discuss about the boundaries, about sexuality and intimacy.
So
what would you ask from your partner openly when you want to open up and say like, I'm really curious, like in your mind, I'm really curious about your boundaries. How would you start? What kind of question do you ask?
So for me, a relationship is about it's a privilege relation. You select a partner for a privileged relation where you can lose yourself, when you can fully experience yourself with trust and confidence. And for me, to have that confidence is to have the authenticity to talk about sexuality. So if the person is not willing to talk about sexuality, for me, it's breaking my rules. I will not go in a relationship where I cannot talk about sexuality freely, really freely and authentic. It's not engage me myself. It's just talking about the subject and any subject in sexology.
It was always like that, or you are old enough?
No, it was not always like that for sure. And with some people,
in the
will feel
past,
it's
when you started this conversation, how did you start?
I was struggling with that. I remember in 2006, 2007 even, and I have big difficulties, in fact, to talk about um, what the sexuality means for me and all the desire to experience like sexuality around the tantric philosophy. And it was really a topic of passion in the past, and it was very difficult to talk about it. It's like I trigger something in the partner, and I was not able to go beyond that. I have no skills enough to create the connection and discussion around it. I don't remember exactly what I did, but every time I want to discuss about it, it was just a big mess. It creates even more problem. I trigger even more my partner, and the more I come with that topics, it was even more stressful for the person because she feel even less hurt. She said, "No, I don't want to talk about it." Yes, but why? Because for me, it's really important, you know. And
That's a really good point because it's very valid. What would you what would you suggest in that case? So one side, it's you who are asking the question, who is open, want to talk about it, but what's happening if the partner doesn't want to talk about it?
You can ask, for instance, in a rule of 0 to 10, 1 to 10, which kind of question around sexuality would you accept? Which kind of question is 1 and maybe very at ease, comfortable, and maybe even boring because you don't learn anything about it? Or which kind of question is really at 10 or 8 and it's out of your comfort zone, and let's try to find questions that it's acceptable in between.
That's a really good tip. So the next tip is basically if you give a logical aspects of the question, which is score the question on the scale of 1 to 10, how hot is for you or how acceptable, it can help to process and create connection and release that rejection. So it's a really good tip.
Yeah, and the breaking rules, you can use them. Sometimes it's easy when you start a relation, because when you start a relation, it's easy to say, okay, I want someone which is open, which is generous, and so on and so on. So you can filter and say, yes, I love that relation. I would be interested to go further with that person and build a more profound relation with that person, and sexually also. Or if that person don't match that criteria, you can say, okay, I will not go. But that's at the beginning of the relation. But if you are already in a relation for a while or for several years, that's become more tricky, because people think that we are not changing, and we are changing for sure. And the desire, especially in sexuality, is about going in unknown situation, unknown experience, and the desire is to experience something new that is creating a lot of sensation, and it's out of the comfort zone in
It's
general.
not always, because some people are looking for the same experience over and over and over again. Like they experience something really really good with sexuality, and they just would like to live it and replicate it every single night or every single occasion. Like I felt something, I experienced something. That was the body sensation, and this was the scenario. Is like, okay, it started with a kiss and a
And-
hug and
until
on
it's
and on.
nourishing you, it's fair, because if you love it, you will ask for more. So that's a biologic behavior. I love it, I want more. And so you repeat. But at some point, if you eat every day the same meal, you will have a new desire at a certain moment, for sure. It's like when you have a kids and you educate the kids, at a moment when it's 3 years old, he want to open the doors, and then he want to sit in the front, and later he will want to drive. So you will, because you become older, more experienced, and so on, you will want to go further. And the life, you can stay in the same kind of experience for a while, but at a certain moment you will have desire to experience something new. And so you go in a non-comfort zone. And the meaning for me of a relation is to have a safe container when you can really use and experience yourself in new situation.
But it's not
Yeah.
everybody. So it's definitely important to define for yourself, first of all, what do you want? What are your limits? What is your desire? Not just about the fix, like what have you experienced and you want to avoid, in terms of the flexibility, the changes, like how flexibly you can accept new things and define it either way or other way. At least you express to yourself, even if you cannot express to your partner yet. Definitely first define for yourself and say, okay, I want to be honest myself, and this is my limit. This is my boundary. So the first point is to know yourself.
Yeah.
The second one is accepting the fact, as the life is the only certain things in the life is the change, nothing else. And you are changing as well with your age, with your experience, with positive or negative experience, or even with the condition of the society or the family. What have you seen in the family? What was acceptable for them? And all of these things are creating like a mix of beliefs. And to discover yourself, sometimes you have to go beyond layers by layers by layers about your desires and your boundaries.
And in some relation, the sexuality is a taboo. It's not a taboo, but probably difficult to discuss. And you can say, okay, what if at a certain moment in my life I want to experience something new, or I get bored and I want new desire or new experiences. I want to taste something new. What if I change if my preference change and I want something, not that I maybe I still like what we are doing, but we want something more, something new, an additional
Probably the
experience
best
in my life.
example for that is like when you pass a certain age, like let's say became 40, and as a generalized experience, like the men go be they wanna they feel it's okay. This is the last years of the life when I can really enjoy, and they became crazy and say I want go way beyond what was my experience up until now. That could be a trigger
Yeah,
for the change as well.
yeah, and any situation could be a trigger, and you never know. So when you wake up the morning, you can be with a big surprise and have to face a new limits, a new desires, and maybe face a boundary that you did not expect to reach at that moment. And just I just recommend you to be flexible and curious, not judge, just be open, not just start to understand a bit more who is your partner and who is, because your partner is changing every second, and so in which direction and where his yeah intention is going.
For this, to expressing in words can help you, and this is my tip as well for you. When you have a conversation with your partner, you could say right here, right now. So when you are expressing your desire, and it's not related to your core values, which is not changing, regular religion not changing, or or politics, or so very core values are not changing. And if you have your boundaries related to it, it's for example the monogamy. Most of the cases are not changing. But for the rest of the desires or rest of the boundaries and rules, you can start to express the way when you say right here, right now, at the moment. This is my reality. Because it gives you the open door, and not just for yourself, for your partner as well, for the flexibility, for the change. That can help
Yeah,
to express.
and I have a good news is that the more you experience, the more you learn about yourself, the more you discover yourself, and you discover yourself with all the experience you allow yourself to do. And step by step,
More and
you
more.
you become more and more clear about yourself, and the boundaries or the breaking rules becomes for myself a kind of desiring uh, list. Because if I say, oh, I don't want to go there, or my breaking rules is that, it's because I want a desire. Let's say when you become older and older, you can say, okay, I want a partner that is able to talk about emotion. If you are not talking about emotion, it causes me a problem. It puts a relation in trouble because I don't want to live that. I want to have that connection with my partner and have those moments of intimacy. It could be the same about as we talk about the sexuality. It could be about the money. It could be about many stuff. But the more you are experienced, the more boundaries you have. And for me, it's absolutely not a problem because it's not about controlling others. It's because you know you more and more and more, and then you become more clear, stable, trustful, and the relation become more adequate for enjoying the life that you want. Because anyway, if you don't put a rules, there is a sensation behind, and something will fill the gap. So the more consciousness you put, the more joyful you can connect with the partners.
My next tip there is when there is a clash with the boundaries. So within a relationship, there is a certain moment when one partner would like to discover something, would like to desire something. Let's say, for example, orgasmic meditation. It's happened in my life. My previous partner was absolutely say no, a big fat no, and said it's never. And I was so disappointed because I clearly, purely desire that. So my tip for this is create for you a journaling, create for yourself your own desire journal, and just write it down. Some people, at that time, I straight away said, okay, if it's a no, I want to live with him, with my ex-partner. Therefore, it's not possible for me to experience it. But the life came on the board, and we broke up the relationship. And then my first thought was, okay, I want to learn this because I desire that. So if you have a journal, you can capture your thoughts, you can capture your desires, and either way or other way, within the same relationship or maybe in the next relationship, you can experience that. The first point with yourself, the authenticity, when you say it's not, I'm not rejecting that desire, I accepting it, I put it here, and I find a way to have it and experience it.
Mhm. Also, what is important about the boundaries is the difference between theory and living the experience in your body and know what it means. Because some people can have some boundaries, but and feel triggered about it, but maybe when it if it happens, it's not so dramatic. You are not really devastated. It's not really a big pain, but you feel in comfort. And for somebody, people can say, "Oh, it's okay. I'm not jealous. We can live in an open relationship or polyamory or whatever." But when you live it, it's a different story. You start to know what it means,
Good point.
and every situation is different. It's like having a kid. Every kid is different, and everyone will create a different experience with yourself. So it's not because one kid triggers you often that another one will create the same. So it's not because you have an experience that triggers you in a certain context that it will always be the same. There is specific ingredients that will really change the situation, the way you live it. So be very careful about the theory, what you think you will behave, and how you will behave in that situation. Um, and what is funny in the in sexology session is that when we talk about sexual boundaries, sexuality boundaries, most of the time you come to another topics about trust, confidence, past experience, or self-confidence. Do you love me? How much you prove you love me, or you how do you express it? Or it could be so many topics. I would say on the side of sex, basically. And
You mean that one topic or one desire involve many other questions and values?
yeah, it's let's say some people want to experience a sexual practice. Some people will say no, it's a boundary I don't want. But the problem is not sex. You can allow yourself to live it, but maybe you will feel not adequate, or you fear that you will lose the connection or the relation. You will be dropped by someone, or you're not at the level, or it's a question of performance or trust, or the way you can communicate and connect, or do you feel at the level of the partners? And that's really, you see, the sex is not really the problem. It's often other topics. And at the same point, I would say, which is pretty funny, is that when you analyze, you try to help a couple. If you don't talk about sex, you miss a big piece of the puzzle. So you can talk about many stuff, but if you do not talk about sexuality, you will pass, I would say, on the side of very essential topics for the what makes the relation.
That could be a funny conversation, and this is my other tip to talk about words also with your partner, because certain words could have a certain emotions, meaning. Because if I say penis or dick or vulva or vagina, these words could mean completely different reaction in the body as well. How you can express it could be a funny way to start sexual desires, just to say it's like, how do you call your genitals? Do you add any
Mm.
name, like nickname of it? How many times talk to your genitals with your nickname? So you can go into the playful side, but definitely the it's everything maybe starts with a question, and you can start the question on a funny base.
Mm. Um, I'm just looking at my notes. Um,
I think we are getting to the time.
mm,
So do you wanna summarize what are the key elements and the main points what we were talking about?
there are a lot of interesting topics about boundaries. So if you want to know more, you can contact us. We can propose you a list of interesting questions around boundaries. As we say, we talk about when, how you can be conscious about your boundaries, how you want to create your boundaries, how you communicate them, how you play with them, what kind of rule you want to define in your life to make it joyful for you and for the partners, and allow a space to growth because everyone needs to grow. But which space do you give to yourself and to the partner to grow together? And do you want to grow together? And which way? And always integrate sexuality because it's a very essential topic in the relation, and it's not so difficult to discuss. You can ask some help. Sometimes a third person is really helpful to discuss about something. At least the first time, to just to make it more easy, to not ignite or trigger the partner. Let's say, okay, let's have some complicity. Let's go to see someone to help us, at least to ask some question and navigate with the emotion because it starts with what happened in your mind.
So they can reach out us through here on the messenger. You can send us a message. I
Mhm.
believe so through the page. Definitely, please send us a like and share this video if you found it a few tips or useful for you. Share with your loved, or maybe this even just this live
Yeah.
can help you to
Yeah.
express is like, hey, I want to talk about something. And also how they can us,
Mhm.
reach out us.
You can contact us indeed here on Facebook, but on the page of the Love Health Center, you can find us on Google very easily. We are
How
close
do
to
you
the Grand
say?
Place of
How do you
Brussels.
write it?
Love Health Center.
There is a like a no?
Yes, love-health-center.org. Also on the website, we have cell phone numbers. You can contact us anytime you want. We have also weekly open doors for any of you that want to talk with us and just get some advice. And we create also a lot of workshop for couples. So just be in contact and discover what could make sense for you to progress on your life.
Also, if you never ever heard about orgasm meditation, this weekend there is a workshop about it, and I believe on the website there are more information.
Yes, it will be in French. But in case some people that listen to us can speak Flemish, Dutch,
If you are in Brussels
French, and
and
English.
you speak French, come and join us. It's a beautiful exercise
Mm,
and skill for a life. In many ways, it's starting with sexuality, but have many other effects on the
mm,
other areas of the life. So, with my ex-partner, we agreed in the rules, saying that okay, if you want to connect with somebody, if you want to have a sex with somebody, definitely the first and foremost, tell me. It's fine, but tell me. And I thought it's not really relevant, or it won't create a problem because I believe in monogamy. I I was thinking about myself and my action, and I truly wanted to respect that. Then I became pregnant, and I was in the eighth month pregnancy when this rule came to me. And my partner one day came to me and saying that, okay, tomorrow I will go out and I'm having a sex with someone else. So the reason why boundaries are really important, because at that time it was a kind of shock to me. First of all, because I assumed, even we agreed in that, when we agreed, we were in just a kind of relationship, like a loving relationship, and it's okay. But since we engaged, it's completely changed. The meaning is this rule is not relevant anymore because we engaged. We are going into in a marriage and in a monogam relationship where this question even not a question anymore. So I don't have to face with disagreement with these boundaries. And the lesson for me was how how we are changing, and also the many assumptions could go around the boundaries or an agreement. What is the understanding of myself? Because I never ever thought I can find myself in this situation in a pregnancy. And also, I was the person who agreed with this rule. So when your life is changing or the life in the relationship is changing, it's so important to define, okay, we agreed in this. I'm not, I don't want to accept anymore this. That's why being flexible and being aware of the boundaries are a key element, and be open-minded and communicative. What is your boundaries? And also do a double check with your partner is uh, to define what is the present state of the boundaries.
Mm.
Thank you so much for you for being here and watching us. And this series is continuing. So see you next Monday with another beautiful topic. And up until then, just send us a message. How was your experience? Send your thumbs and likes for us to know, for us as a feedback
Mhm.
to know what do you think, how do you
Mhm.
think, and
Yeah, and let us know if you find some nuggets in that discussion that we share with you. Usually, it's a discussion which are private, and here we make it visible and we share it with every of you. And we hope that you will have yeah, some progress in your life to make it more beautiful. So, wish you a great evening and see you next Monday.